and like, you're too noisy. I said, you don't have to be around me.
Friendship may actually go beyond just relating on
A superficial
basis.
There's the adage that says, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
There are some of us who are not very good at regular visit, but because they are friends,
You have
in order to maintain that friendship.
The emotional state of the parents is usually directly proportional to the emotional state of the children.
Hello viewers, welcome again to our family program right here on Equa TV, the living room. I hope we've been having a good rounding up of the year. Let me put it like that. As the new year is coming, we have 3 weeks, yes, about 3 weeks to another new year, if the Lord tarries and keeps us. And it will not be good to just enter the new year with no plans, with no focus. And we decided today to spend time to talk about preparing for this new year that is coming. My name is Amaka Ocheke, and in the living room with me today is Mrs. Ibe Namo to discuss how to plan for the new year, planning for the new year. Ibe, welcome again.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
So, New Year, what's the new year all about? What's the big deal?
Is there any big deal? Okay.
I don't know, but people make a lot of noise about the new year.
A year is ending and we're entering a new one. So it's normal. There's nothing too
Something
special.
new?
Yeah, but sometimes nothing really changes.
But people are looking at it because it's something new,
Yeah.
holds promises.
I know that a lot of people start planning new resolution, new workout, you have things, expectations of the new year, budgeting for the new year.
So I guess it's opportunity for new beginnings.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
that's what people look at.
Yeah.
Why people look at the new year with so much excitement, and then a lot of celebration around it. Christmas, New Year period is just festive period, so people are just doing a lot of things to celebrate. Okay, so let's delve in. How do we plan for the new year?
Well, the first plan is to plan to celebrate, actually. There's nothing wrong with celebrating. But whilst you celebrate, you should be very careful. You should know that the year is going to come upon you. People have complained that January is the longest month of the year. The January is just 31 days. It's not the longest. There are other months that are 31 days. It's just because December looks like a month that is racing. Once you are entering December, it's like everything seems to be on the run. So you look at it as if, when December doesn't wait, before you open your eyes, close your eyes and open it, this week has passed, the next week has passed, and the Christmas has come, then the new year itself is upon you. So then January is here. It's not the longest month. It's just that we don't plan for it. That's why it looks like the longest
It looks long because many people are broke for a very long time.
I think if you plan ahead, you won't be broke. As you plan to celebrate, also plan to put things aside. Plan with a focus for the new year. Don't just plan for celebration. There's nothing wrong with celebrating, going out for the new year, or maybe on the 1st, taking your family out, eating something maybe that you have never eaten before, trying new things, and maybe trying new experiences with your family. There's nothing wrong with it. But whilst you do that, you should look at your budget for the year that is about to end. How did you fare? Did the budget work for you? Were there mistakes you made in this budgeting? Were there some exigencies that you carried that you did not plan for and they just happen upon you in the year that is rolling off? So that as you look forward to the new year, you begin to also plan in case something ABC happens. How do I manage it? Because Some of them happened in the past year and they just disrupt everything you had planned. Now you are looking at a new year. Can you just look at your budget again? What are these things that you may not have planned for but could happen? Is there a way you can set aside things
So I think
for it?
what you're saying is, and I think that's what is the right thing to do, is that before, as we are getting into the new year, we need to step back
Yeah.
and review what
The
has
old year.
happened
The old
in this end year that is ending, and assess how things have gone.
Exactly.
Now, you've raised the issue of budgeting, money, how we've spent money, and whether we did well, whether we didn't do well. Look at the problems, what went wrong, why this didn't work, and what you need to do for the new year. And that would help you also plan maybe even for the celebration of January 1st,
Yeah.
and then going into the new year. So you can't begin to do celebrations January 1st that you have not budgeted for.
Exactly.
So this is the time to budget for those celebrations.
Yes. You know, people think that there's nothing wrong in budget. Why should I budget for celebration? Celebration is here, just let's celebrate. No, I think you need to budget for celebration. You used to ask yourself, what amount of money is coming into my hand? And then look at it. If I take half of it to celebrate, can the other half carry me in the longest month of the year before money starts rolling in? If I take a quarter of it, can the rest? If you know that if you tamper with your December money, it's going to
Cause a lot
cause
of
a lot
problem
of
in January.
trouble in January. There's nothing wrong in saying, oh, thank God, oh, we are in the new year, children, we eat as normal, there's no big deal. Nobody is going to come and take you to court for doing that. So as you look ahead to the new year, when it comes to finances, you really need to watch what comes into your hand. Except while you are planning with what comes into your hand, somebody slaps you with one big
Amount of money.
Then you say,
That hardly happens, but if it happens, you can't plan with that.
Yes, you now use it as you wish, but with what comes into your hand, because the last month of the year is December, so that December money should be used carefully, because there is a long month ahead of you. Children's school fees is going to enter into that month. Feeding. Sometimes, you know, in the new year, we eat in the December period, we eat so much that we don't think that we'll eat again in January.
Yeah.
We carry food, we give people.
And then for some people,
and
that's
all
when to
that.
also pay their rent.
Yeah, sometimes
That's when to
your
pay their
rent
house rent.
is due
Due,
in the same month. Sometimes, you know.
Not just rent, so many things are due in January.
Yes.
All your association dues for different things, most are due in January.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of money to be spent in January. So you need to.
We need to step back and plan. And plan. And I don't think any school will wait for you that January should end before you pay your children's school fees.
Yeah.
So I think if you still have little children or have children of school age, you should be careful.
So this is the time to begin to plan.
Yes.
to pay school
Now
fees.
you should start if it is possible, because I know that once there is a break, they will send the children home with a break, with a newsletter, with the account details. If it is possible, sir, to pay the money
Yes,
in
as they
immediately
come home.
as they come home. Most
Pay
school will be
fees.
closing this weekend or next weekend. As they come home, once the money comes, you just pay it, and you know that one is off your shoulder. If there is anything you need to purchase for their going back to school, just buy it and keep it aside, so that you know that you are done with their school things.
issues.
Now look at what is remaining to see what you can now do with it as you enter into the new year.
So that's just for January.
Yeah.
But still on finances, if we want to look at the whole year, you know, now it's, you know, you need to plan for the whole year.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, you can begin to tweak and change things as things are going. So as you had said earlier, we really need to step back and see what we did this year. That's when we're looking at finances, what we did this year, whether the things worked. And I know we've talked about financial management here in the past, about savings, about budgeting and all that. I think Professor Madu even did diagrams and showed people what to do. Maybe we'll do it again because learning and relearning, you can't overdo it. I have talked about all that. So you need to step back and know whether our plans were successful in the year, and then whether we are in debt
that we need to clear.
Yes, or whether we're out of debt, so that you know how to do the planning, and then you plan for the year. And in planning for the year, I think you need to have goals, some things you want to do when it comes to money, and you need to understand what is up for the year. Maybe that year, for example, as we're going into this new year, aside from the January school fees, you also need to find out, do I have children? Example, things that may happen. Do I have children that may need to be going to secondary school this year? You need to plan for that. Students going to university this year, you need to plan for that. Rent, we said, people who are paying rent, people who may be building or doing different projects, you need to consider that. Whether you are planning to change your car, people are still changing cars despite how difficult things are, but you need to plan for all that. So different things, even for people going to school, like now for my for my children that are going to the university now, I realize I have to buy computers for them. I've tried to start finding out the cost of the computers, because the computers have to fit, or to be not just fit but useful for the particular course
they are
studying, and they are doing courses that need computers. So, and the computers are so expensive. But at least I've tried to find out the price. So that is something I need to
start thinking
about how. I'll make sure that we're able to afford it or buy it without putting stress on other things.
I think there's need for you to have. We've been talking about family meetings, and I think it is important that if it's possible to have a family meeting at the beginning of the year, to spread the whole year before the family and say, we have January to another December. What is going to happen? What are we planning for this year? What are your aspirations? What are your goals? What do you want to do this year? Some of your children may want to change jobs, those who are working. Some of them, like we say, may be leaving one school to another school. Some of them may even want to learn something new. Maybe they are in a school and they are about rounding up, and they feel like they need to learn a particular thing before they maybe take on another school or before they take on jobs. All of those have to be worked into the new year, because the new year begins in January, but it doesn't end in January. It spreads up to another December. So you have to look at it through together. Maybe the first week of January, look at it through, sit together. How many of your children are grown up enough that are making money on their own? What can they do for themselves? What can they do to support the family? You start looking at that. If they are still living with you, so those are the things some of the things you need to really begin to look at. That concerning budgeting, maybe you should ask your children, what are your dreams?
Okay, like for us in my house, in the last few years, what we do at the beginning of the year, I have everything written down. So there's a book, and everybody says what their dreams or their goal for the year is in different spheres of life. Academically, what is your goal? Socially, what is your goal? All those things, and then we write. But of course, we would have reviewed what happened last year. With last year's goal, whether it worked, it didn't work, what made it not work, and what you can do better. And then we have another goal for the year. And we sit down and talk about it, write it down, and all that. And then sometimes some of them say some goals that are not realistic.
Unrealistic
so
goals.
You need to, in that meeting, we also say, no, now this isn't going to work. So that you refashion your goal to something that is achievable. Yes, and then, as you said, we use that to now make projections, financial projections for the year, what you may need to spend money on.
And you should look at what comes in for you for the year. Maybe you were promoted. It means maybe your money has increased by a little digit, and maybe it's just a little adjustment to your salary that has come in the beginning of the year. That could go a long way to help you. So you need to put all of this into consideration when you are looking at the new year. Okay, this new year I have extra 2,000 on top of my salary. What can it carry? So that you don't do a budget and borrow money to fund the budget.
Or
it doesn't
you have
make sense
you have
at all.
extra money from as opposed to what you had last year. And instead of using it for something constructive, you decide to blow it off. Say you have to enjoy yourself. Well, like there's room for that, but you can't use all that.
Even if good money comes in towards the end of the year that you didn't know it was coming, maybe something that you had forgotten about and it was paid to you, or maybe you got a huge contract that brought in. You can celebrate, but you should be careful because you don't know what the year ahead holds. So that's where the issue of saving comes. So instead of blowing the money, maybe you should blow part of it and save part of it. So that we don't deny you complete enjoyment. Save part of it and blow part of it so that you can. And I also think that one of the things I've done for many years now is to tell myself that I will not enter the new year with any debt. Don't. If you can handle it, please just do it. Pay off all your debts with December. Let it go with the old year so that you are starting afresh. Not that you are still denying yourself sleep, you still can't think very well because you are still owing somebody something that you have
denying sleep and thinking so much. It's for those who have conscience. Some people don't care.
But it's just not right.
Some people don't
Whether
care.
You think about it or not, if you are owing, I think
you ought to pay. Because the Bible even says, "I say, wicked man that owes and refuses to
Yes.
pay." If you are owing, viewers, let's say it now.
Yeah.
If you are owing and if you are refusing to pay, the Bible says you are wicked.
And if you are a businessman, the new year, do you want to expand your business or you want your business to remain where it is, all this as it has always been? Can you move forward a little bit? And that has to do with a lot of budgeting. Do you want to think about getting a land? Maybe you've been living in a rented house. Okay, this year, one of your goals is to get a land. Even if you are not able to build it, but you are able to
at least for this year, and then maybe next year.
And next year you start laying one stone on another. Because most of us who are civil servants who build houses, it's not because we kept one money somewhere that we use in building the house. It is because we dare to take step. And I remember one of the times that we paid for the place where we build now. We paid and it was remaining some money, and the man was breathing on our neck to please come and pay up. If not, he's going to give up the land. So we said, okay, let's see if we can get. That was the first and the last time we took a loan from the bank. So we decided to take a loan from the bank, and so that we could clear that land, and we did. But then we discovered that once. And that time it was not as digital as things is now. So even when your salary comes in, it will be delayed. You can't access your salary. You have to wait until the loan drops before they can now give you access to your salary. So there was a particular month, there was delay in it dropping. We had no food in the house. I needed to access the fund. There was no food, and I went to the bank from 9 a.m. I remember that day I was in the bank till about 3 or 4.
But just curious, why did people decide to take loan from bank? Why not your cooperative?
I don't even know what happened. That was the first. That's what I told you. That was the first and the last time we ever did that kind of a thing, and we knew that we will never try it again after that thing was cleared. We just told ourselves nothing again will ever take us near a bank loan. And so please, I think you should clear your debts. Look for a way to make sure, and don't, if it is possible, don't owe. And if you have to owe, I think you can even increase your cooperative. Some of you are working in offices, you can increase your savings to the cooperative so that if you have to take a loan from them, you can access
Yeah.
bigger loan, and then you can build your house small, and one of our teachers then bought a land and built something that looked like an L-shaped house and then he covered one side of it and he moved in with his wife. But today, if you see the house, you won't believe that was the L-shaped house. They've added to it, they've covered it, So you don't wait until you are able to build in Millionaires' Quarters or in Rayfield. Wherever you can find something, because one of the things that hits people more, one of my brothers was saying that at the end of every year, you see young men selling all their cars because they have to pay rent. They have to pay rent because the landlord are not smiling.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that you should always think about that from the beginning of the year.
And things like rent, school fees are not emergencies.
Are not
you know
emergency.
That
Yes,
so
you know that you are going to pay
factor
rent.
that in your planning and in your budget. Okay, that's finances. Okay, what other things do we need to prepare for in the new year? What other things you think we need to prepare for?
I think spiritually you should also prepare for the new year. You should look at, like we said, you can't prepare for a new year without looking at the old year.
Yes.
How did you fare spiritually? Were there some mistakes you made? Were there some things you dared to do that you were not supposed to do? This new year you should plan better. You should tell yourself, what do you want to achieve this new year? What are the things that you want to achieve spiritually? Do you want to be more committed to the church? Do you want to join a new fellowship in church? Do you have a thing that you want to do for God that you can do as an individual or as a family? And I think you don't start planning. You don't just let it happen. You plan.
Things
for
don't
it.
just even happen.
Yes.
You need to plan for it and then put steps in place that will help you achieve that goal. And I think spiritual things too, we need to also bring it to even simpler things like your prayer life.
Yeah.
How you study the word of God. So are you moving to a higher, maybe you were doing 5 verses a day. Now I want to start doing one chapter a day. Or I want to go through the Bible once. Or you've been doing once, you now want to do it 2 times
in a year.
Yes. I think.
Or you want to do in-depth study of different, there
books,
there are times you do in-depth studies of different characters in the Bible. You list characters and you start studying each of the characters and how they spread through the scriptures.
But it is not just enough to say, okay, I want to be studying characters. When are you going to study the characters?
That's
part of the planning. So you need to know when, put time, and block out time and say, okay, maybe every Monday is
exactly
6 to, or every Monday 7 to 8 Bible study. This is what I'll be doing. And you pencil it down, put it on your
bedside,
phone.
On your face,
this is the time.
Attach an alarm to it.
Yes, attach an alarm to it. And everybody, this is it. So that once it's time, as you are getting into the new year, we hit the ground running, as they say. Yes. So be deliberate about, and not just wishing it, but put things down of how it's going to be achievable. Things don't just land on your lap, or you don't suddenly find yourself doing something. You have to plan on how to do it. Okay.
Another thing is health. Okay. And that's where a lot of us are very careless. We're not aging down, we're aging up. So if you are aging up, you should begin, even if you don't know, ask questions. At this age, what are the things that I'm likely to face, that I need to be conscious about? You should begin to ask questions. Ask questions and plan for it. Don't just sit down and wait. One elderly man once said that he doesn't like going to the hospital. So we're like, why? That when you go now that you want to do general checkup, then they will now find something and your heart will now start beating. I say, whether you go to find it or you don't go to find it, if that thing is there, it's there. And the worst part is that when you will start feeling it, it's already too late. Why don't you find it and deal with it immediately before it becomes a problem? My friend was able to detect cancer at the earliest stage because of checkup. Cervical cancer. She just went for general checkup and they noticed something and they were able to take it out immediately. If she had waited, that thing would graduate and maybe today we'll be singing a new song. So let us begin to be deliberate about our health and plan for health things, And, some of this, when you start aging, there are some things that you should either stop or start eating. Maybe some supplement that you should start taking as you are aging. Maybe some food types that you should cut off from your meal. You should plan for it. It will not just happen. Don't say, let me just be, when the time is right.
Time just is never right.
Yeah.
So you need to plan for it. So choosing a healthier lifestyle this year that we're going into. So you need to be deliberate about it. So checkups, one. So everybody should plan, especially for those who are 40 and above. Viewers, you should plan at least one checkup every year. And that's should be your birthday present to yourself. Do a general checkup every year. Go to the hospital and just do a general checkup. Give yourself a clean bill of health. And if there's something wrong, you do something about it. Abi? Then also, in addition to checkup, other healthy things, as you said, food. We need to be more deliberate about eating healthy. And it doesn't just happen. Like I would say, even from my personal life, I'll say, I need to start eating more healthy. But it doesn't happen. And I've realized that I need to plan for it deliberately.
Exactly.
From the things I go to the market to buy, shopping for it, food preparation. Maybe I say, if I leave it and say, okay, every day I will do it, sometimes you're rushing off to work or you come back late, it doesn't happen. So you need to be deliberate about it. Maybe weekends, you do the food preparations, pack
them,
the things.
yeah.
Yes. So that as the week rolls in, you just take what you have packed and eat instead of waiting to start preparing from scratch, which you may not have time to do and it wouldn't work. So planning for the meals, doing the meal preparations, packing and arranging will go a long way to help us. Then also exercising. We need to make time for exercise. Exercise will also not fall upon you. You need to be deliberate.
Maybe you
block
should
out
look
time.
at last year. What happened to you? Maybe you told yourself you were going to do exercise and you never got to do it.
Telling yourself, we all tell ourselves that
Can
we
you
all
be
exercise, but we
deliberate
didn't
about
plan
it
for
this
it.
year?
Yes.
Can you be deliberate about it this year? I remember I used to take walks. I just stopped.
Why?
And then I think early in November I started saying, I think I need to go back walking. I just stopped for over 2 years now. I just stopped. And I don't know why. I can't even tell myself why I stopped. I think those are some of the things. You don't need to be rich or poor to do some of these things. They're just there. Because even if you are poor, it doesn't mean that you can't eat healthy. Doesn't mean that you can't plan for your health. There are general hospitals if you cannot
afford the expensive ones.
Expensive hospitals. So you can go to general hospitals where the money will be like. Because if you leave the health to deteriorate, the money you will spend will be more than what you would have spent
to do prevention.
To do prevention. That's why it's good to be deliberate concerning our health. Yeah.
So viewers, we've heard. Let's be deliberate about our health. Deliberate plan also. Yes, we are talking about our spiritual life. What else?
Food budget. In the new year, plan for food. Because, this year, a lot of us were shocked at what we found.
Yes, so food prices really went up.
As at
crazily.
As at March, I was thinking of tomatoes. That was when tomatoes was like 3,000, and I was planning for it. And then the woman who helps me to shop went to the market. I gave her 225 to buy 4 baskets, and then she came back. She didn't buy them, and she told me that tomato has gone to 4,000 naira. That I should wait. I should wait till 2 weeks. That after 2 weeks, that she knows that the thing will come down.
It kept going up.
That 2 weeks came. The basket of 4,000 went to 10,000. The week after, it went to 15 until it got to like 40. And that was how I couldn't buy throughout last year. I had to be buying small. I think we need to, when we have the money, any amount you find it in the market, if you have the money, buy it. Stock it. Food, stock it. People go to village market to shop for the whole year. You just go as you have the money. You don't have to stress yourself, but as you have the money, the ones you can afford.
So,
and you know it's cheaper when you buy in bulk. When you buy it and you just forget about it. You know, in those days we used to do.
My challenge with bulk buying, I try to do that, but I also find out that the people in the house, also
They
because
eat
they see so much,
No.
they can be wasteful.
You will work on it, Ni. At that meeting, we will talk about
Okay,
it.
the family meeting, yeah.
Yes, we will talk about the food. You see, this food I bought is for the year. If you waste it, we will all go hungry in this house. I don't have money to be buying extra. So we need to know. If anybody is trying to cook, I start talking. They say, sometimes when they are fetching the rice, they say, Mommy is there, or she will so ask you, now that rice is for what? I say, because it's me that goes to the market. So I cannot go and measure maybe 100 mudu of rice, the disowned rice in Katako, and come and put in the house. And then in 2 months, you tell me the rice has finished. You finished to where? How did you eat it? I want to know. So it doesn't stop bulk buying. If we can, let's try and do it. I know my mom. I have never seen my mom buy onions and tomatoes. As in 100 naira. She has never seen. Then she didn't even have freezers. All these freezers and all that. There's a way she dries this tomato very neatly by herself. She doesn't do it the way they do it in the market. You know that there's a way she dries it. There's a way she saves her onions, that the following year onions that she's going to buy will come and meet the last year's own. You know, so if you plan like that, my mom was not very rich now. She was just a poor trader in the market. But, you know, she learned that it is better to do that. And that's why we were always having food to eat, because she's always planning. So we can plan. Then they didn't have freezer where they would store the tomato, but they have learned a way to preserve the tomatoes. Now we have freezers. We have all of these things to keep our tomatoes. So why can't we do it? And our old mothers are doing it. So what have we learned from them? So we should do bulk buying. And you can't do bulk buying. You have to plan for it, because bulk buying involves money. Please don't plan your budget in another man's pocket. That's one thing I need to know. Some people want to do bulk buying, but they go to the market and pick all of these things, and then we market people are looking for them to come and pay up, because they have to buy market to sell.
Yeah.
And then they are like, I don't have money. If you know you don't have money, don't buy. But if you have the money, please, buying and storing
Plan for
food
it.
is very important.
Plan for buying
Yeah.
large quantity of food and storing as much as possible. If you can buy for the whole year.
Yeah, if you can, you can. You
Yeah.
can buy for the whole year if you can.
Like somebody was telling me that if she had known, she would have bought oil, stuff like that for the whole year.
Yeah.
Because the price even went up to 3 times the price before the year ended.
In fact, the oil I bought December last year, I think I finished using it around August this year. December last year. I remember I went to the village. I just told them I want oil, and they bought. And I pushed my younger ones to also buy. So we bought, and then we got a vehicle to bring them to Abuja, and they all took their own, and I brought my own to Jos, you know. And it lasted from December to around August. So when people were saying, "Hey, oil prices," I didn't know, because I have oil.
So planning for food, but you need to lay money aside and be deliberate to budget about it. Okay.
You know, before I used to do a food contribution, and that's when things were good. We used to just do just 2,000 per month, and at the end of the year we have 24,000. I remember when we started with 24,000, we could get 2 bags of rice.
Yeah, I was doing that too, but now
get all of that, but you know that if you have to do that contribution now, except you are going to contribute 20,000,
Even if you
even
do the
20,000,
20,000,
it can't go. It can't even go far. How many things will you buy? A bag of rice is almost 100,000. So if you do 20,000 in a year, that's just 240,000. 2 bags of rice, the money is finished. You know, so if there's a way you can do it, if you have an account that is not too, you are not visiting regularly, maybe you can be dropping money there. And I heard that some people used to even go and plan with market women and then drop money with them, so that at a particular time they go and pick the goods. Some people even work with villagers. One lady in the university told me that she works with villagers, and then she gives them money during the farming season. So when it is time for harvesting, she will just go and pack her food and bring home. So that's
a good plan.
Yeah, there are several ways you can actually budget for food. Several ways. If you know people who are connected to farmers during the farming period, they give them money to farm. And then any amount you are giving them, you are placing a price on a particular goods. Maybe you say, okay, how much should I give you for a bag of rice? They can say 30,000. During the harvest, the rice may still be at that 30,000. But at that time that they are trying to farm it, the rice may be about 60 or 70,000. So you give them the 30,000, maybe in 3 30,000. That means you are going to get 3 bags of rice. And the mistake you should not do is to go when they have finished harvesting. Once the harvest starts, you are there. As they are harvesting, they are giving you your own before they continue the harvest. Some people have worked like that and it has worked. So there are several ways of planning and budgeting.
Okay. Next year, what are we also supposed to plan for again? We've talked about many things. We've talked about food, our finances, our spiritual life. What else?
So you can plan your goals for the year.
Yeah.
What do you want to improve in your life? Please don't go through every year and be the same person.
Like in our family, when I talk with my children, when we're doing the plans for the year, we also talk about what they need to improve, areas they need to improve to be better versions of themselves, and they come up with things. So even for us, the adults, we need to sit down and say, what am I going to do better
next year?
This year by God's grace, actually, because it's not by your own strength.
Yeah.
But you need to identify those areas so that you plan for them deliberately. And even when you are deliberately also asking God for help in those particular areas of your life.
You may not have to even wait till December. I remember I was telling somebody, I said, I'm rounding up a program, possibly God's willing by next year. But I have in my head another program I want to start. And I've been praying about it. I know the budget involved, and I've been looking out to see how the monies will come in, so that immediately I finish this particular program, I will just go into it. It's to help me improve on what I am doing and in my field. And I think that's what we should all do. Whatever you are doing, even if you are a tailor, how can you sew better? Is there something you are going to do better than what you are doing?
There will always be something you can do better.
If you are selling, even if you are selling in the market, is there a way you can improve your store so that it would give you a better yield? Don't just do 3 years, 4 years, you are still in the same place.
Thing.
Instead of going forward, you are even moving backward. At the end of the day, some people will close the market and come and sit at home and say, the business is not moving. And I think it's lack of planning.
So I think in that planning, these are goals. It should include personal, that's
goals.
Your character, things in your character you need to improve, change, deliberate things. Maybe you have not been visiting brethren. You have to make up your mind how to visit brethren. I'm not saying you should suddenly become somebody who visits, but at least start with one person.
Yes.
Visiting one person or something. The way you do things, being more organized and all that. You need to be deliberate about it and put things in place in how to go about it. Then, as you said now, professional development. I think as Christians, we need to be deliberate about that, because I've seen so many people who remain in the same spot for
For
years.
and you're
And I'm
wondering,
wondering,
what is it now?
why would you remain like that? So I think we should be deliberate as Christians to look for ways to improve ourselves. Even if seemingly you have reached the peak, in quotes, of your career, I don't think you should rest and say you are done, you have paid your dues, and just remain. It's not even good for your mental health and your brain development, because these are some of things that increase your risk of dementia when you are not using your brain.
Your brain.
So we should be deliberate. Even if you think, I'm not going to use this to get a job, for example, like these trainings you're talking about, they may not help you get a job, but they may help you be better at what you do.
What I'm doing.
And what you do, be better. Or sometimes even do something that is even outside your area. Just learn something new.
Yeah.
And in my personal experience, I found out that no new information is wasted.
Exactly.
There's just a way to use
Yeah.
that information. So just do something different. Even if you are not using it in your career, you're going to meet new people.
Yeah.
And that's another
You should be.
room for evangelism and sharing
Yeah.
the word of God and helping people to be discipled and all that. So I think you should be deliberate.
There are always related things to your field. Like I was asking someone, I said, I'm interested in law. I'm not interested in reading law, but I'm interested in law. I want to know about some legal things.
So go and do law and
You know?
diplomacy.
So I've actually started asking questions. How can I do something that is related to law? Just to be aware. It's not that I'm going to take it to work, but as a
But you learn some
psychologist,
things.
yeah, even as a psychologist, there are some things that I should be very careful when I'm working with human
People, yeah.
beings. You know, and so when you are aware of legal issues, because I discovered that you can fall into trouble when you're working with people, and if you are not careful, you just put yourself you put a rope around your neck.
No, it's
But
a good-
if you understand legal issues, so when somebody is trying to play on you, you know where the person is going to, and you are able to
avoid some of the
avoid it. So
problem.
there are fields that are actually related to your field that you need to
Be not even your field
deliberately
directly, but
aware of.
even just life.
Yeah.
Things that would help you in your life
Yeah,
generally.
yeah.
Anyway, they say it's time up. I don't know how that happens. I just thought we just started talking and they say it's time.
Wow.
So we need to leave. So viewers, we've talked about planning for the new year, and I think what has come out in all this is deliberateness. Deliberateness. The new year won't go in the way you want it to go by just wishing. You know, they say new year. What is that thing people do? New year wishes, new year resolution. It's not just resolving that this is what will happen. You need to have deliberate plans, how and steps of how you are going to achieve these things. Praying and asking for guidance from the Lord. You know, but it won't just happen. You need to be. That's why we call it planning. So you should have reviewed last year what worked, what didn't work, and why they didn't work, so that in your plan for the new year you will not bring the same things. They say it's a foolish person who keeps doing the same thing the same way and expects to get a different result. No, it's a madman. Keeps doing and expects a different result. It's madness. So you need to look at what you did last year and how to move forward. And we'll touch on different areas: your spiritual life, your finances, your family. We didn't even talk about your family life, your relationship with your children and your husband. Look at it and see what you need to do about that, and so many other things we've talked about. So, Mrs. Namo, last words before we go. And
Well, they have said that anybody who doesn't plan is planning to fail. So please plan. It's important that you plan. The new year is upon us. Let's plan for it.
Yeah. So if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail. So, viewers, we've said a lot of things today, and let's go and apply these things. Plan for the new year. Let's at least what is within our control, our lives, let's be better at it. We may not be able to control the environment, but the things that are within our control, let's be better as we get into the new year, to the glory and honor of God. Our God is a God of excellence, and he wants us to be better and better, continually conforming to the image of Christ. And if you look at Jesus, Jesus was not just an anyhow somebody. He was organized, and he had plan. He had a plan, and he came to fulfill his plan. So please, let's have plans as we go into the new year and put things in place to make sure that we fulfill our purpose, we achieve the plans in this new year, so that the new year will be better than this 2024 has been. God bless you, and till we come your way again, same place, same time, at the living room, Ekwa Television. It's is IB Namo and me, Amaka Ocheke. God bless you, and looking forward to seeing you again.
Bye.
Bye.